Hello and welcome back to F.U.Tube, the viewer complaint segment that puts the FU in consumer, even though there isn't one. That's confusing. Anyway, first up tonight, it's Chris. Chris owns a PlayStation 3, or PS3, but he's had a bit of a run-in with the maker of PlayStation, Sony. Poor young fella.
Actually, I'm 31.
Sorry, I just assumed. Anyway, after over a decade using his PS3, recently Chris got a message when he tried to sign in saying that he'd been banned due to violations of the PlayStation Network user agreement, when he'd done nothing of the sort.
Actually, I did violate the terms of service.
Okay.
I modified my PlayStation 3 so I could play PlayStation 2 games I'd already paid for, including a favourite of my wife and mine, Simpsons Road Rage.
Chris says the Sony ban means he can't use 25 PS3 games and 45 PS4 games that he bought and paid for.
I don't think Sony should be able to remove games I legitimately paid for. It'd be like turning up at my house and taking all the discs I bought in the last 10 years.
Turning up at someone's private property, breaking into it and stealing their stuff. Surely Sony wouldn't condone that sort of behaviour. But this ban feels like grand theft to Chris. And clearly, Sony is fine with it. But if a standard form consumer contract has terms that are unfair, the consumer law voids those terms. For example, a gym contract that said the location of the gym could be moved up to 12 kilometres was found to be unfair to consumers. So, let's look at the Sony Network User Agreement. And a quick squiz at the termination clause shows Sony says it can do basically whatever it wants if it thinks that there's been a breach. So Chris, you are up against the most terrifying PlayStation character of all, the lawyer.
Our decision is final. We will not enter into any further discussion.
And you're certainly not the only one who's got this gripe about PlayStation either. An Irish gamer who lost 7 years' worth of games when he was banned told The Sun that he is suing PlayStation. Mind you, The Sun also reported this.
Mum fears a ghost keeps peeing in her toilet while she's at work.
These examples highlight just how powerless digital media consumers can be. And it's not just gamers. The same's true for ebooks, apps, online music services, and many other online content platforms that are cloud-based.
So is the PlayStation user agreement an unfair contract?
Honestly, Chris, it's hard to say. Unfair contracts are a complicated area, and ultimately, only a court can decide. But, well, let me try and explain in a way that works for you. The consumer law says that a contract could be unfair if there's a significant imbalance in bargaining power.
Hey, big boy, look at me!
If the term's not reasonably necessary to protect the legitimate interests of the business.
And here comes the laser.
Or if it causes detriment, which certainly seems to be the case for you, Chris. And it specifically mentions terms that let one party decide if the contract's been breached, which is exactly what the PlayStation contract does. Unfair contracts cases are harder than consumer guarantees. But Chris, we agree with you that Sony depriving you of all those games that you paid for is unfair. So a complaint to Consumer Affairs might be worth a try. Who knows? The consumer law might help you get back in the game.
Who's number one? We're number one, that's right.
And finally tonight, it's Pauline. Ah! Pauline didn't want her face on television, but she's okay with us showing her skeleton because her question's about Voltaren Osteo Gel. Pauline noticed that Voltaren Osteo has exactly the same active ingredient as Voltaren Emulgel? Ooh.
It's Emulgel.
Oh, there's an L in it.
Idiot.
I noticed Voltaren Osteo was more expensive.
And another viewer, Julie, points out
Osteo Gel and Emulgel come in the same size box and both cost $20.50. The Osteo Gel is 75 grams and the Emulgel is 100 grams.
the only difference between ordinary Voltaren and Voltaren Osteo is the
Easy to open cap.
Jack compared the prices per 100 grams, and as he says,
$7.50 extra is a lot to pay for a plastic cap.
but given that they come in the same size box and are the same price, the extra cost of Voltaren Osteo's easy-to-use cap is
Easy to miss.
The ACCC says Voltaren Osteo Gel is misleading and deceptive to the 1.8 million Australians, mostly senior citizens, who report having osteoarthritis. The ACCC alleges that Voltaren did things like removing references to osteoarthritis on the pack of regular Voltaren, and it shows that when the ACCC raised concerns, Voltaren didn't stop the Osteo Gel racket, no. They just added more disclaimer text on the pack and kept on selling their slimy product. What? It's slimy.
Oi!
The gel, not the emu. Now, Voltaren will respond to those allegations in court, but we couldn't help noticing that Voltaren Osteo Gel is no longer listed on the Voltaren website. Voltaren told us that they took it off their website in November 2017, just before the ACCC legal action. And they said,
"We have recently taken the decision to remove Voltaren Osteo Gel from the Australian market."
but we're told that doesn't mean they're withdrawing it from sale. So consumers who really want to pay extra for bog standard Voltaren with an easy to rip off cap will still be able to get it for a while yet. By the way, there is a different product,
Voltaren Osteo Gel 12 hourly.
or as I like to call it, Voltaren up to 12 hourly. It's only available from chemists and has double the active ingredient, so it could be the most effective and cost-effective treatment. But be careful, the pack's quite similar to the dodgy Osteo Gel. Both have the easy-to-use cap too. Voltaren really loves that cap. Here's what they said when the ACCC started the court case.
We believe the design of the packaging helps people with osteoarthritis open the cap more easily.
We actually asked some people with osteoarthritis which pack is easier to unscrew, regular or Osteo Gel. And here's what they said.
This one was a bit easier to open.
Much easier to open.
Not a lot of difference.
My arthritis is in my hips, so neither of them make any difference to me, really.
And when we showed them how much extra you pay for the easy to unscrew pack, here's what they said to Voltaren.
Screw you, Voltaren.
Good night.